4 ideas for handmade presents. So we are gonna start with a mini recipes book. We're gonna need a string, a pen, some cards. Yeah, the pen is just like a ball pen kind of pen. Black, something sharp, and I'm going to be looking into this old recipes book that I got from my favorite vintage shop in Scotland, Vintage Coin. I believe it's from the 1910s. So yeah, I'm going to use that recipe for walnut cookies, for example. I'm just going to be using a few of them just to kind of like mix them a wee bit. So yeah, I chose this one is for potato pie, also for some cakes and cookies, and yeah. So after writing down all the recipes, we are going to make 2 holes in kind of like the sides, the corners of the cards. And I'm using a knitting needle, but you can use a pair of scissors or whatever. It's pretty straightforward. You shouldn't have any trouble. So it's also pretty safe to do if you want to do it with children. So yeah, once you need to be careful here not to kind of like get any words from the back side. So yeah, once we have the holes made, we put the string on and then we cut it out in the sides that we like, and yeah, we just make a knot here, and we're gonna cut the leftover string. I'm gonna do the same in the other side as well, so it's like a wee book. There you go. It's such a nice wee present, very thoughtful, and I'm sure anyone will appreciate. So for the next idea, we're gonna need a pair of scissors, some fabric, some fluff, some thread and a needle, and a cracked teacup or a cheap teacup that you like. First of all, we're gonna start cutting out our fabric. I usually make a circle not right next to the cup, just a little bit further out, and just to make sure that it fits into the cup, because when we sew it together it's gonna be a little bit smaller. That's the reason why I do this. So yeah, it's pretty straightforward. Then we are gonna cut it out. I'm using pinking shears, but you don't need to. You can just use a regular pair of scissors. I don't know if I mentioned, but I'm using a double fabric here from an old bed sheet. So this is the kind of like the out of the fabric, and that is the back of it. So we are going to put it upside down and we're gonna start sewing. You can use a sewing machine or you can just do it by hand. I thought I would do it by hand because it was not a really big project. We're going to leave a bit of without sewing, so we can just go back to the beginning. And once we have our circle, we're going to add the fluff. This is the funniest part for me. I love doing this, it's so satisfying. I got this fluff for very cheap at a local shop, like stationery shop, but you can like get it in any crafty shop around your area or online. I got quite a few fluff patches for maybe £2. So yeah, it's not too expensive, it's really cheap, and I use it a lot for all my projects, all my crochet and my knitting projects, when I want to make like a doll or something like that, or even if you want to make something like this, it's really handy. So once we have that, we are going to sew the rest of it and we are going to put it into the cup. Can you guess what it is already? Yes, you're right, it is a pin cushion. A very cute and simple and thoughtful pin cushion, and it's very vintage looking. And voila! For our third present, we are going to use some vintage linen, a nice ribbon, found this around the house, pair of scissors, and some lavender. You can get lavender anywhere pretty much, like I get mine on Amazon, but yeah, it's very easy to find. Or if you have a plant, perfect. We're gonna start cutting out our fabric. I'm going to go for a rectangle, so I folded the fabric and I'm just cutting it out. It's really important that it's linen. Cotton, it might work as well, but I prefer linen. So we are going to make like a channel to pull our ribbon through. So I'm going to fold both sides of the rectangle, and we are going to sew it. I'm going to use my sewing machine this time. Okay, so we are going to just turn around the fabric, and I'm going to use a bobby pin to pull through our ribbon. This is a pretty simple step. Sometimes it gets stuck, so you just need to be very persistent. And voila! We have our nice and cute socket. So the last step is just to add our lavender, our ground lavender, into the socket. You can put as much as you like. And it's gonna be pretty much ready to put out in our drawers or wardrobes. If you have time and you know how to do it, embroidering it's a very cute idea, but I just didn't have time. I have this other design that I was gifted by a good friend, and yeah, I love it. So for the last idea, I'm gonna go for a handmade bookmark, and I'm going to use these sheets that I had in my drawers, some glue. I'm going to use some cellotape, some nice festive ribbon, and a pair of scissors. And I'm going to also use dry flower. I always preserve my dry flowers in my books. But you don't need to. This is something extra that I'm going to do. I think it's a nice touch, but you don't need to. I'm aware that drying flowers naturally takes time. So we are gonna start by gluing this sheet here to the brown paper underneath. That's just to give it a little bit of consistency and also for a nice vintage looking back of our bookmark. I have so many stationery things. I love collecting them, so wherever I do crafts, I have so many resources, but I'm aware you might not, so you might want to just use, I don't know, a page of an old book that you don't mind taking out, or a piece of a newspaper, or just a nice magazine cutout. Alright, so the next step is to make sure that you are happy with the shape before we start gluing the dry flowers. You can also leave it like that, it's quite pretty. In my case, I'm gonna be cutting these dry rose out. Usually you take about 3 or 4 weeks to dry a flower. This one here, it's been in my book for years, so it's nice and dry. You just go with the flow. I'm just gonna leave it like that, I think. You just need to be very careful if you use dry flowers because they can be quite fragile. Just be mindful. I like experimenting with different shapes and colors, so I'm just here trying to work out the design that I'm going for. And voila, I think that looks nice. We're going to press with both of our hands. Again, be very, very mindful because they are quite fragile. But just press them a bit. Make sure they're nice and glued. The next step is to cover the entire bookmark in cellotape. This is a cellotape I had around my house, but I think the thicker the better and the wider the better, so you don't have any lines in between. I like covering the front first and leave the back until the end because I like writing a quote from my favorite book at the back of the bookmark. So yeah, now with a black pen, I'm going to write a quote from my favorite book ever, Pride and Prejudice by Jane Austen. And this is a quote by Mr. Darcy, of course. The last step is to open a wee hole in one of the corners. Just be very, very careful to not break the whole thing. And we are going to insert a sharp object. I'm going to be using this knitting needle. And then we are going to just pull through a nice ribbon. I'm using this one. I think it's really festive. You can also use a pom-pom or any other kind of ribbons. But voila! It's pretty much ready. It's so pretty, isn't it? I made one for myself a few years ago. And these are my 4 ideas for handmade presents, vintage edition. Thank you very much for watching and Merry Christmas!